Coming up on WMLT News, 2 North Carolina men have been acquitted of a 30-year-old conviction.
Plus, Samsung has beat Apple to the punch on some new technology. All this and more starts right now.
Hello and welcome to WMLT News. I'm Patrice Mitchell.
And I'm Brad Sullivan. A video released showed the beheading of another American journalist, Steven Sotloff, by Islamic extremists. The video, directed at President Obama, states that as long as America continues their airstrikes against ISIS, quote, our knives will continue to strike the necks of your people, end quote. The footage was posted 2 weeks after the beheading of the first American journalist, James Foley. A spokesman for the Sotloff family confirms that the family has indeed seen the video, but the authorities have not established its authenticity.
2 North Carolina men have served 30 years in prison over the rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl, have been freed due to new DNA evidence that was recently discovered. A Superior Court judge, Douglas Sasser, ordered the immediate release of Henry McCollum and Leon Brown, who were convicted in the 1983 murder of Sabrina Bowe in Robeson County, North Carolina. Lawyers for the men petitioned for the release following the DNA evidence from a cigarette butt recovered at the crime scene that pointed to another man who lived close to the soybean field where the girl's body was found. This man is already serving a life sentence for a similar rape and murder that happened less than a month later. While authorities said that both men, teenagers at the time, had confessed to the murder of the girls, those confessions were, according to the attorneys on the case, gained through hours of relentless questioning and coercion. Both men were originally sentenced to death at the time of the conviction, but the sentences were overturned at a second trial where McCollum was sent again to death row, while Brown was convicted of the rape and sentenced to life in prison. Both men's families were in the courtroom when the sentences were overturned.
Police officers have started wearing body cameras during the protest in Ferguson last Saturday, as unrest settles into the matter of a slain teenager, Michael Brown. St. Louis court has started taking evidence on the matter, and protesters countrywide are calling for the demilitarization of the suburb, along other law enforcement reforms. Memorial signs and the slogan, quote, hands up, don't shoot, end quote, have been shown, supporting that Brown surrendered before being shot.
An inauguration ceremony for Concord University's 12th president, Dr. Kendra Bogus, will be held on Saturday, September 20th. The program begins at 10 a.m. in the Alexander Fine Arts Center main theater. Dr. Bogus is the first female to serve as Concord's president and officially began her duties as president on July 1st, 2014. Bogus has served on Concord's faculty since 1984, where she taught various undergraduate study courses, served as the division chair, and served as the associate dean for the university. In addition to the inauguration, there will also be a presidential portrait unveiling on September 18th at 5 p.m. There will also be a reception following the portrait ceremony at 6 p.m. at University Point.
Stay tuned, there'll be more WMLT after the break. Concord Student Government Association met for the first time Wednesday, August 27th. The formal meeting saw everything from the swearing in of the newest student government senators to the early discussion of committees that will see Concord through the fall 2014 semester. The SGA Executive Board, comprised of 9 SGA veterans, has already been working over the summer to make sure this year is a successful one. SGA Secretary Christian Bell says, I'm excited for the upcoming year. We have talking a lot under the summer executive board, have a lot planned, not only for the upcoming year, but for students in years to come. The SGA is a student-run government that is comprised of many of the recognized organizations on campus. They allot money to the organizations and have a hand in many campus activities, including homecoming festivities. Any organizations on campus who is not already represented in Student Government Association can gain voting rights by attending 5 meetings, as long as they are a university-recognized independent organization. After a lot of controversy, the town of Athens may be seeing its first new business after 20 years. WMLT's Jesse Stevens has more.
I'm here in Athens, West Virginia, just a stone's throw from Concord University at the future home of a new grocery store.
Last year, Athens residents were faced with a town crisis when the Dollar General chain sought to build a new store in the tiny West Virginia town. Citizens of Athens were mostly concerned that the store would disturb their way of life because it was being built so close to residential property. However, after months of struggle and a small amount of demolition of housing, the crisis was resolved. Dollar General will most likely begin construction within the year. Overall, the community has accepted the new business, but students of Concord University are very anxious for the addition.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I can really appreciate that they're bringing more of a variety to the community of Concord and Athens. I wish they would have brought in a larger retail store though.
Because Dollar General is the first new business Athens has seen in almost 2 decades, a larger store may be years away. However, when the town is ready, students have already decided what they want to see.
Yeah, I would like to also see sit-down restaurants in this area. That would be exciting.
For WMLT, I'm Jesse Stevens.
Concord recently held the first of its annual Media Appreciation Day. The press had an opportunity to meet and see a wide array of the campus, Beautiful's many faculty and staff, including the presidential cabinet, Concord's police chief and athletic coaches, as well as the head of all 6 of the major divisions in attendance, were many 6 different outlets, including WVNS, WVNN News, Concord's student-run newspaper, The Concordian. The media was given a chance to not only hear upcoming events and story ideas, but they were also given the chance to ask questions and even participate in one-on-one Q&A sessions with the presidential cabinet.
This past weekend, 2 young people in the area lost their lives in a car accident in which the driver of the vehicle was under the influence of alcohol and other intoxicating substances. A third passenger in the car suffered injuries as well. It is important that everyone knows about and understands the severity of driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol. If you plan to drink, make sure you have a designated driver beforehand. No party is worth your life or anyone else's on the road. Be wise, think twice, do not drink and drive. For more information on alcohol responsibility, visit www.responsibility.org.
4 college students used their scientific knowledge and training to create an usual solution to an all-common problem on campuses and beyond. They are creating a nail polish that changes color when it is exposed to date rape drugs such as Rohypnol and Xanax to help women see if the colorless, odorless substances have been supplied into their drinks. Women wearing the experimental nail polish would be able to tell if the drink has been drugged by dipping her finger into the drink and giving it a stir. The 4 young students at North Carolina State University have called the nail polish Undercover Colors and are calling the project the first fashion company empowering women to prevent sexual assault. The product is still being tested.
Now with Ticket or Leave It, here's Jesse Stevens.
Thanks, Patrice. If you're looking for a family movie for the weekend, When the Game Stands Tall may be what you need. Based on a true story, the movie tells of the De La Salle High School football team. This team held the all-time longest-running winning streak. With a record of 151 wins and 0 losses, the team was riding high on its success. But everything changed when several of the team members experienced tragedies. The turmoil not only affected the team, it shook the entire community. The next few months after proved to be challenging, as they taught the team the true meaning of family, faith, and even football. When the Game Stands Tall is an emotional thrill ride that will hold your attention from start to finish. Thanks to talented actors, the characters seem to come to life on the screen. The cast includes few well-known actors, but each one puts on an amazing performance. With appearances by Matthew Daddario, Laura Dern, and Jim Caviezel, the acting in the film is very powerful. When the Game Stands Tall earns 4 out of 5 stubs. If you haven't already, you need to go see this film. You definitely won't be disappointed. And that's it for this week's Ticket or Leave It. Thanks for watching.
Watches last week. The new watches are expected to receive and make calls without a companion phone. Voice control is also expected to be supported by the end of the year as well. As the ability to forward calls onto the watches from nearby phones, the watches are expected to cost less than $199 in the U.S., making sales by October. Samsung isn't alone in pushing of the wearables. However, Apple is also launching their own watch, with the prices to be distributed in the 4th quarter. An expects to exceed the target of 2.6 million units by October.
Justin Bieber is making news this week as a 20-year-old pop star turned himself in Monday and was arrested and released on a promise to appear in court on September 29th. Bieber was charged with dangerous driving and assault following a collision between a minivan and an ATV that led to a physical altercation involving a photographer.
And now here's sports.
In the NFL, history was made when Texans defensive end J.J. Watt signed a 6-year contract extension worth $100 million. Watt will receive $30.876 million guaranteed at signing, and an additional $21 million becomes fully guaranteed if he's on the roster at the 2016 season. Coming off one of the most dominant years in his career, many see this as a long overdue extension. Indianapolis owner Jim Irsay was suspended for 6 games and also fined $500,000 for the season. Irsay pleaded guilty to one misdemeanor count of operating a vehicle while intoxicated. The punishment starts Wednesday at 5 p.m. Irsay will be eligible to return on October 9th. As we continue to get deeper into the Major League Baseball season, the playoff race continues to get more interesting. In the American League, the Orioles lead the East by 8.5 games. The Royals have a half-game lead in the Central, and the Angels rallied for a 4.5-game lead in the West. In the National League news, the Nationals lead the East by 7 games, the Cardinals lead the Central by 1, and the Dodgers lead the West by 2. The Tigers and Brewers both have a 1.5-game lead in the wild card. I'm Daryl Johnson, and that's all for this week. See you next week.
Michael Sam, who is the first openly gay player to be drafted in the NFL, was one of the last players cut this week from the St. Louis Rams as teams had to drop down to a 53-man roster. Sam, who came out as being openly gay earlier this year before the NFL draft, is currently looking for a job. Sam has been relatively quiet since hearing the news, only saying, "I want to thank the entire Rams organization and the city of St. Louis for giving me this tremendous opportunity and allowing me to show that I can play at this level. I look forward to continuing to build on my progress I've made here toward a long and successful career." Sam is hopeful to make the team by the start of the year as he has a physical scheduled for Wednesday with the Dallas Cowboys. Joan Rivers, 81, remains on life support after suffering respiratory and cardiac arrest during a medical procedure. Rivers stopped breathing during throat surgery at a Manhattan medical clinic on Thursday morning. She was taken by ambulance to Mount Sinai Hospital. Her daughter, Melissa Rivers, has been sharing new details to the public since her mother was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital. She says, quote, "On behalf of my mother and our entire family, we are extremely grateful for all the love and support we received. I know my mother would be overwhelmed by the continued outpouring of kindness, and I want to thank everyone for keeping us in their prayers," end quote. Tapings of Rivers' show Fashion Police have been canceled for the time being.
That's it for WLT News. I'm Brad Sullivan.
And I'm Patrice Mitchell.